So, welcome back then.
Thanks, Jim, for your feedback. And thank you for your speeches. It's really good to see that you've quickly learned and used the tools that you picked up in the workshop so far. So how did you feel after the speech? Did you feel okay? Did you feel relieved? Did you feel excited, like you wanted to keep talking? Does anyone want to get back up here and speak? You don't want to do it? Well, the common thing that happens after you've given a speech, when you're new to speaking or if you're speaking to a new audience, you'll start judging yourself right after you've given the speech. And you might be thinking things like, that went better than I expected. It wasn't bad. Or you could be thinking something like, oh no, I left out an important part of the story. I hope I didn't confuse them. You see, oftentimes you'll get so caught up in giving the speech, you'll lose track of how the audience is reacting to your speech. And that's why it's a good idea to get feedback after your speech, so you get an idea of things that you did good, and also you can figure out ways that you might be able to improve that speech. Now, one way we can get feedback is, for example, from an audience member like Jim, who came up and he gave us some feedback right after the speech. So one way is to get feedback from someone in the audience to listen to your speech. Now, another way to get feedback is to give yourself feedback, to evaluate yourself. Did you guys notice me at the back of the camera? Yeah. I was filming your speeches. It was a bit hard to not notice. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to edit that footage, so I'm going to send you your video of your speech so that you can look back at it and give yourself some feedback. Now raise your hand if you've heard an audio recording yourself or you've seen yourself speak before. Yeah? Emma, what did you think when you saw it?
I don't like it.
You didn't like it?
I don't like the sound of my voice playing back.
I remember when I first heard my voice recording, I thought the same thing. I thought it wasn't even me. I thought it didn't sound like anything like me. But whether I liked it, that's how other people heard me. So one important reason for watching back your video is to get an idea of how others see you. Because when you're new to speaking, when you haven't had much experience speaking to people, your idea of how others see you isn't very accurate. So when you watch your video back, you get a more accurate idea of how others are seeing you, and that'll improve your judgment when it comes time to give yourself feedback. Because there's not always going to be someone there filming you and giving you your video after the speech. So the better your judgment, the better you can give yourself feedback after a speech. So I've got your videos recorded. Let's discuss those ways to watch back the video. Now the first time you watch it back, I recommend looking for any of those distracting or repetitive mannerisms you might be using. So distractive or repetitive mannerisms, these could be the form of repetitive gestures, unnecessary movements on the stage, maybe even unnecessary or distracting words or sounds you might be making that you might not be aware that you're making. Now, coming up in Jim's educational on body language, we're going to discover the most common unnecessary movements that speakers make on the stage. We'll discover ways that you can eliminate those from your speech. But now, watching back the video, the first thing is just be aware that you might be doing these unnecessary movements, because sometimes you don't even know that you're doing it. So the first step is to just be aware that you might be doing this in the first place. Then you can start making steps to change those or eliminate those from your speech. One thing that I learned in video editing is that in whatever you do to video footage, if you're going to delete footage, edit footage, put two bits of video footage together, you've got to have a reason for doing it. You've got to have a reason. I found the same applies to public speaking. Whatever movement you make on stage, whatever gesture you want to use, whatever sound you're going to make, if it's going to enhance the audience's impression of what you're meant to say, or if it's going to improve the picture they're going to get in their mind, then use it. But if you don't have a good enough reason, then it might be best to just not do anything at all. So the first lesson here is to watch through the video and then look for any of those distracting mannerisms you might be using. Now the second time you watch through the video, I recommend listening closely to the way the audience reacted to your speech. When did the audience react in the ways that you expected them to? And when did the audience react in ways that you didn't expect them to? Yesterday Hamish mentioned that he was going to host an open mic comedy night. One of the best learning experiences I ever had was when I did stand-up comedy at an open mic comedy night. Now for those who don't know, open mic comedy is where amateur comedians, they go to a comedy club and that's where they practice doing stand-up comedy. And I still remember the first time that I went to an open mic comedy night just as an audience member. I just went to watch. If you'd been there that night, as I walked into that dimly lit comedy club, you would have felt a sense of expectation. There was a sense of pressure on the comedians that they had to make us laugh. I would have told you that I felt nervous for the comedians. I wasn't even speaking, I was just sitting in the audience, but I felt nervous for them. But knowing what I know in public speaking, after going to a few Toastmasters meetings, after I saw some of these comedians speak, I remember thinking to myself, these guys aren't that good. I could probably do this. I could do stand-up comedy. So I did. I signed my name down to do stand-up comedy, and they scheduled me to come back a few weeks later. So between that night and my scheduled date, I got together with 2 friends. I wrote some jokes, I practiced the jokes, they gave me feedback, and then the night came, it was time for me to do stand-up comedy. The MC's on the stage. He announces my name. I get up there. Now when I was preparing for that stand-up comedy performance, I read a book called The Comedy Bible. It was written by Judy Carter. Judy Carter is a professional comedy coach. She's performed at over 5,000 comedy clubs in the States, NBC sitcoms. She's appeared in several sitcoms in the States on TV. Now in that book she says that amateur comedians, when they end a joke, they'll begin their next joke before the audience has finished laughing. Professional comedians, when they end a joke, they'll wait till the audience has finished laughing before they start their next joke. So that's the difference between an amateur comedian and a professional comedian, that little bit of timing there. And as Jim mentioned yesterday, on the importance of silence, using pauses, sometimes if an audience isn't reacting the way you expect them to, it might just be because you're not pausing long enough. You might not be giving them enough time to get what you just said. So I found that this applies not only to entertaining speeches, but also to any other type of speech. For example, if I'm giving an inspirational talk, if I've given my inspirational story and I've made my key point afterwards, I'll use a slightly longer pause. Because what that does, it lets the audience digest what I've just said. It gives their mind time to connect the dots so they get the full picture. So using a slightly longer pause might be the key here to getting that audience reaction you expect. So the second time you watch through the video, listen to how the audience reacts and try to understand why they react in the ways they do. Now the third time you watch through the video, I recommend listening closely to just the audio of the video and then writing down word for word what you actually said. Now professional speech coaches, they actually recommend writing down this word for word manuscript because it gives you an idea of what you really said as opposed to what you intended on saying. Now you might be surprised at some of the things that you didn't intend on saying, or some of the things you're not even aware that you're saying on the stage. And the first time I did this exercise, I found out that I used the words "you know" a lot in between sentences. I later found out that the words "you know," it's a type of crutch word. Now crutch words are these words we use when we're thinking of what to say next, to fill in the space. They're words like and, like, you know. It's perfectly natural to use some of these words when you're speaking, but when you start using too many of them, that's when it can become distracting for the audience members, and it can also start making you look unprofessional. So what I recommend is if you feel yourself going to do a crutch word, pause, organise your thoughts, and then start the next sentence. But the first thing to do here is just be aware that you might be doing them in the first place. So watch back the video, just be aware that you might be using too many of a certain word, and then you can start making those changes to maybe replace them with a pause. So the third time I recommend watching the video back and listening closely for the audio, writing down word for word what you actually said. So we've considered 3 viewings of the video so far. The first time is to look for any of those distracting or repetitive mannerisms. The second time is to listen closely for how the audience is reacting and then try to understand why they're reacting in the ways they do. And the third time is to write down word for word what you actually said and to compare that to what you planned on saying. Now in the following viewings of the video, you can start to think about implementing the tools that you've picked up in the workshop so far. So we've discovered many tools in our educationals up to now, and we'll learn a few more coming up in Jim's